Okay, just to update a couple things. One is Zeke had a MRI done on his wrist after, still feeling some pain in it on Saturday. That was yesterday. It was read, and then consulted on with Dr. Fireman and a hand specialist here at UCLA. And he has a sprain. There's nothing broken in there, but he has it's a pretty, significant sprain, and it's the navicular, I believe is how you pronounce it, and the scaphenoid bone. There's small tendons that attach both on top and on the bottom, and some of those tendons have been, torn, like when you have sprained an ankle. So, he has a sprained wrist. He's going to be in a cast they're going to make for him for his left wrist when he's not participating in basketball, and it'll be taped a little differently than it was this last week, with a little more protection and probably a little less mobility, but he should be good to go. Questions? No. This is just to keep it so it's kind of like you see players walking around a walking boot when they have a sprained ankle. Reeves was doing that for a while with his sprained ankle, and I think limits the amount of movement that you're going to have outside of when you're using it to play.
How much do you think that wrist bothered him in the last game?
I really don't know. I didn't want to talk to him about it too much and have him thinking about it, but for sure, it's kind of like when he hurt his finger the first time. The first time after that first game, he hurt it in the Washington game, and then at the SC game over at SC, you could tell he wasn't comfortable with it. And it's going to take a little time for him to get comfortable with this, I'm sure. To be able to play with it, not have it be, something that he's going to think about too much. No, but I just think it was, in other words, we had him practice Friday, and we went without tape, and he didn't really use it on Thursday after SC game. We did it Friday, and he was still favoring it a little bit, and then in the game, after the game, because it was still sore, the doctor, we had already X-rayed him. He already had X-rayed, it's negative, and then we went to the MRI, and basically that came back. He has a sprain in that wrist, and that's the area where the sprain occurred.
When you look at the Oregon State, when you look at the first Oregon State game, and you guys got a nice lead back in the game, revisit the tape. What concerns you have when you have?
You know what? I haven't even looked at Oregon State because we have Oregon first, and I was out of town yesterday recruiting, and my computer got wacky, so I was only able to watch about half as much as I wanted to yesterday on the plane going to and from where I was at, but I'm watching film today. And the one thing about this, to answer your one question about Oregon State's the one team that's beaten both Arizona and Washington at home. That win at Oregon State looks better and better every time I look at it. Same thing with Oregon. Oregon is 4-1 in their new building. They just, really, really handled Washington State Thursday by 26, and then they turn around and beat Washington, who we know is a very good team and very talented. And they're playing extremely well. When you look at Oregon's 4-1 in their last 5 games since we've played them, including the first win at Stanford in 26 years. We didn't play against Katron the first time we matched up with the Ducks, and he's a big difference maker. He's their best player. He's an inside threat. He's a matchup nightmare because he's, 6'5.5" with a 7-foot wingspan and 240, and has all sorts of game around the basket, up and under moves, and just spin, and he's shooting it well facing up. He's going to be a real hard matchup for us, and they're a team that's really playing well right now. They're really, really shooting it. They held Washington State to 25% in the game. That's what Washington State shot in the game Thursday, and they did a great job again on Washington. So we've got our hands full, and they're as hot as anybody in the league, with the exception of probably Arizona right now.
Handle Reeves and some of the guys who got rattled by the physicalness of that game up there, Eugene. How do you deal with that? How do you address that going in?
I still have to watch the game, but yeah, I think Reeves will play better than he did up there, it's important that we have him playing well. And that game, I just remember that Josh again had a big game. Jeremy Anderson and Zeke and Malcolm all played really well, handling the ball and making big shots in the second half, and we did a good job in that game to win on the road there.
With K-Tron in the mix now, does it make it less likely to use that small lineup against them?
No, they still will go three guards. They're going to start K-Tron, and they'll start Singler at the 3 instead of the 4. But there's a lot of times when Singler moves with the 4, when he's in there, K-Tron and Singler, and then 3 little guys. So, Narad starts at the 4. But it's, it's something that we'll, I'm sure, use. The other thing that I should announce is that Brendan Lane won't be at the game on Thursday. He is flying back to Boston. His mother's mother, his grandmother, passed away, and he just found out on Saturday. So he is leaving tomorrow, and will be there for a wake Thursday night, and then the funeral Friday morning, and we'll be flying back Friday afternoon, and gets in at like 10:30 at night Friday night, hopefully in time to be back to be a part of the game Saturday.
Given Reeves' success guarding the 5, do you expect to maybe use him a little more against K-Tron?
In terms of what, defensively, you mean? Well, yeah, I mean, he'll be the one guarding K-Tron when he's not in with Josh. But I expect that we'll have, significant minutes when they're in together. And it's a hard matchup. We did not match up well with Singler the first time we played them. I mean, Singler was a problem for us, both for Brendan and for Reeves when they matched up with him in that game. And Singler was a guy, someone, asked about Singler. I mean, he just plays hard. I mean, he plays very physical. And one thing, when I was watching film on them yesterday, and again today, is that they really do a good job at attacking the offensive glass, and they're very physical. They come in and they block you out when they're on offense, which is what smart players and smart teams do.
Idea of how many wins you need to get in the tournament?
No, I mean, I'm not even honestly thinking about it. I'm just thinking about Thursday. I'm really, really concerned and very wary of Oregon for Thursday. We're going to have to play very good to beat them, the way they're playing right now and the kind of confidence they have coming off the way that they've been playing here the last few weeks. And so after our loss, they went down to Corvallis, and Corvallis, had come back against us. They had, before that, they had beaten Arizona State at home. They lost to us, came back, almost beat us. They beat USC. They had a lot of momentum, and then they turned around, and Oregon went into Corvallis and won that next week. It was a single week. Then they go down to Stanford and win at Stanford for the first time in 26 years. They played Cal very tough to the last few minutes in that game, ended up losing by 7. And then they turn around and beat Washington State and Washington. So they're really playing good right now.
You know how many of those games K-Tron was playing?
All of them, yeah. So after that weekend with SC UCLA at home, he was back. He was a huge difference. He's a great, very, very hard matchup for people and he has been. I mean, he was good last year. He's a very good inside player who can face up, and their offense. They're able to isolate players, and they do a lot of isolation of different guys, and it's difficult to defend. Strobridge is playing really well. Armstead's playing really well. The kid Sims is really shooting it. They're playing good.
Coach, you How is UCLA's confidence and momentum coming out of this win streak?
Well, I think it was, obviously buoyed by this past week. I mean, those were two very important wins against two good teams. SC, it's a hard matchup for us because of the size, especially of Vucevic, and that was a big win for us. And then turn around and beat St. John's, who came in with an RPI of 20, and the week before it handled Duke pretty well. That was an important win for us.
Your RPI right now is 40. Are you happy with that considering where it was like a month and a half ago? 182?
I haven't been following it that much. I really haven't. In fact, I didn't know we were at 40 today. I just know that if we take care of what we need to do, then, it'll fall into line. And that's why this game is so important on Thursday.
Do you feel any more in control of your destiny at this point, though, with those 2 games under your belt?
Yeah, but we've always been in control of it. You always are. And that's why I know that, we've got 8 games left in the regular season, and we've really got to continue to improve and do well. And, I'm worried about Zeke's wrist. I'm worried about Brendan not being there. And, I thought that we did a good thing, that we had shooting this morning where our guys came in and got up shots and for about a half an hour. And you could see it was helpful to have 2 days of rest for their legs. Like I could tell Malcolm had really good pop in his shot with his legs. Jeremy Anderson, the same thing. Reeves, the same thing. Tyler Lamb shot it well this morning, so it was a good thing. The only guy who didn't shoot this morning was that will be playing on Thursday was Zeke, and he hadn't been fitted yet for his new taping that he'll be using, and then Brendan will shoot some extra today.
There was a story in the New York Post that raised the officiating issue from Saturday and the foul discrepancy in the Pac-10 refs. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I really didn't feel that was fair. I saw it, actually. I dropped by to get my car washed on Sunday after church, and I went to this pizzeria right there on Ventura, and it's a New York pizzeria, and what's it called? It starts with an M. It's good. But anyway, they had the New York Post all laying out there. And so I just happened to be reading this. If you go back and watch the game, which I did Sunday night, it was very aggressive, and they fouled. They were fouls. It was not any kind of homer situation. I think that our officials, honestly, err on the side the other way historically. When we've had inter-rival games, I remember we played West Virginia here one year in '06, I think it was, and I didn't feel good at all that we were at home. I don't think that's an issue with our officials. I wish it was. That'd be great. I would love that, but that's not the case.
Is it best to have neutral officials in these types of non-conference late season games that are so important to the state tournament?
We've done it in a variety of ways. We've done it in the past where, Big East here, Pac-10 there. We've done it split crews. But, at the end of the day, I just think, it's right. That's not why we won or lost the game. They were fouling. You go back and watch the tape and study each of the calls and look at it. It's pretty clear. And then believe me, down the stretch when the game was really tight there, when we were missing our free throws, they got Zeke for an elbow that, it was, they made the calls. He turned it over twice with 2 elbows, 2 offensive fouls.
Josh's mouthpiece seems to be an issue. He's chewing on it, taking it out. Is that something that you've noticed? Is that something
Mm-hmm.
he's really
Yeah,
does?
he doesn't really like to wear it, but I think it's important for him to wear. And he's been like Reeves got hit in the face in one of the games recently. And I pointed out both Reeves, Tyler Lamb got hit earlier in the season, and one of his teeth died. From an elbow where it hurt the root. And Josh, being where he's at all the time in the inside, it's just a matter of time. It's not when, it's not if, it's when. He's going to get hit in the mouth, and he needs to have that mouthpiece in. He complains sometimes that it's harder for him to breathe, and that's, just something to get used to, and maybe we need to try, a different type. But our team dentist takes a molding and really spends, a lot of time and effort to do it, really well.
So it's not a fit issue, it fits fine.
Yeah, to my knowledge.
Coach Howland mentioned a little bit of the shooting this season. Do you think that those 2 threes can kind of do for him mentally or just confidence-wise?
I think it was really good for him, and this morning he was in there and we had him shooting for about 40 minutes, and he's really shooting the ball well. His form. I think that when it's all said and done, Tyler Lamb's going to be an excellent shooter here at UCLA. He's one of these kids, and Jeremy was the same thing, where when he was a kid growing up, he would shoot the ball and he would have both hands into his shot. Your left hand is supposed to be a guide hand, but when you start shooting a jump shot, sometimes before you're strong enough to do it, you compensate. And so, he had his left hand, which would give him a little off rotation. So, he's got some things that, and that's one of the things that's a disadvantage for us to start so late in the school year, close to the season. If we were starting in the middle of August, we would have, 2 months before we started practice where you could really break down someone's shot and really try to help them. When we're starting the end of August and here comes practice, and that's the first time we can coach them, it's a lot harder to address some of those issues. But I'm really pleased. Today, he was shooting, John, at multiple spots where he'd make 10 in a row, 10 in a row, 10 in a row. And, really focusing on keeping his hand out of it and having his right hand in the middle of the ball and getting good rotation. So it was good work for him this morning. And they were big shots. We were down in that game, and they were huge shots. I said early in the season about Tyler because he played really well in a scrimmage we had when we had all the former players here, the yearly barbecue we have with them. When the lights are on, he plays better. And it was 13-4 when he hit his first 3 on Saturday. He made it 13-7. And then we were down 21-19 when he hit his second 3 to put us up 1 for the first lead of the game. Both were huge shots. And his defense has been good. He's doing well.
Is there a feeling that he can maybe start eating away at some of those honeycut minutes? He's at about 34 for the season.
Yeah, I think we can get more minutes out of him and give everybody a little more of a rest, not just Honeycutt, but I'd like to give Malcolm a few more minutes rest. I think Malcolm would be even a better shooter if I wasn't grinding him for 36 minutes a game. It's just hard for me to take him out because that his guy is going to struggle to score when he's in there.
Really be hustling back both ends of the floor on Saturday. Do you think that Arizona pulling him out of the game?
Yeah, I think he's just getting better, and he played 29 minutes on Wednesday, and he played 27 minutes on Saturday, and I think it was really nice for him to have his dad there on Saturday, watching him, and I just think he understands better the importance of how critical it is to get back, that we don't give up anything easy in transition. That's something we've always tried to preach and teach that we need to get back and make it hard for teams in transition to get easy baskets.
Is that 20 minutes about where you want him?
Yeah, I was very happy with that. That would be great.
What's he doing differently now that he's not getting in foul trouble for this?
Early in the season we were having him go out and hedge as opposed to now where he's just plugging, and he had 3 block shots on Saturday. So he's, I think he had 3 block shots in 2 of our last 3 games. I think he might have had 3 at ASU in the minutes down there. But he's been blocking more shots, and he's been better. Now he's going to really be tested on Thursday because he's going to have to at times be out on the perimeter guarding guys that are going to be able to shoot threes and space out to 17, 18 feet and then try to drive them. So he's got his work cut out for him this week. And then again, on Saturday, when you're talking about how they run their stuff. And so it's another challenge for him.
Are you seeing less reaches now he's getting shape?
Yeah, he still has that habit, though. And he reached with a minute to go with the game at a 3-point game, and they isolated the guy in the middle of the floor, Brown Lee. Was that his name, Brown Lee? And I watched it Sunday night, and he swiped at it, hit the ball, and the guy kicked it out of bounds, went the other way. He has good hands, quick hands. I want him to move his feet and not reach, but that one actually paid off for us. Please don't mention that to him. I don't want him to know that I know that.
Where is his conditioning? Is he?
Well, I think he's in better condition than he has been, being able to play those minutes, because I thought his minutes were solid, 29 and 27. But when he finally gets in great physical condition, which I think he's going to do someday, and you can see now. I thought the dunk at ASU, where he turned and dunked right on the guy, was a turning point for Josh. And he played very well offensively the rest of that game. He had the same kind of dunk on Alex Stevenson on Wednesday. The first time he touched it, he turned and dunked right on him. And, he had some impressive finishes on Saturday. So I think that just has, kind of catapulted him here to kind of a different level, being more authoritative and more aggressive with the ball. And believe me, his teammates, they're all for it. They were excited.
Weight-wise, is he where he was at the beginning of the year? Does he continue to lose? Where is he?
He's just holding steady. He's pretty much. Yesterday he rode the bike for an hour. So he didn't get a day off yesterday, 2 days in a row. He was on the bike. But and today, he was in there for half an hour shooting with everybody else. And all these kids, one thing that we don't even talk about, last week was midterm week. We had guys, that were all having to prepare for midterms. Stover was so tired at the walkthrough Friday night before the St. John's game. I was really worried about him because, he was like, he had stayed up the night before. He had a midterm Friday morning. He didn't sleep Thursday night. He went all the way through. And so you tie all that into the fact that all these kids are playing, big games, but yet they're still having to stay on top of their schoolwork and turn in papers and do what they're supposed to do. It's impressive. That's college.
Coach, you mentioned something about Josh's teammates kind of getting excited to see him blossom like that. Do you think there's a different, maybe appreciation for when a big guy like that is just so dominant? It's one thing if it's a perimeter guy scoring 25 points a game. When you have a presence like that, does that kind of feed off other guys?
Yeah, to play with a good big man, because it's, there's so few big guys that can score with their back to the basket. It is really a special skill, and very few players have that. And he is just in the beginning stages. He's working on a jump hook for the first time. He still doesn't realize sometimes that he's dribbling the ball when he doesn't need to dribble it. He should just be going up with it because it's such a habit in the past to, dribble it before he every time he gets it in there almost. And all these little things are things that he's working on and I think conscious of and trying to get better.
Against Oregon, Jeremy Anderson had a great game. How important is he going to be on Thursday?
He's key. Jeremy made huge shots for us in Wednesday's win over USC. They had cut it to a 1-point lead, 10, 12 minutes to go in the game. He hit a shot on the baseline. And it was a 5-point game, and he hits a 3 to put us up 8. He was very steady and influence on Saturday in taking care of the basketball and doing a good job for us down the stretch, running things for us. So, he's been playing really good basketball for us the last 5 weeks in particular, and it's been a key reason as to why the team is, doing well.
Coach, Tyler leads the conference in block shots. Can you kind of talk about that aspect of this game?
Yeah, that's impressive when you think about it. I mean, Tyler, two of the best things he does are rebound and rebound in a crowd. He's a very good rebounder, quick to the ball and, snatches it. And then to be able to block shots the way he does for a guy who plays the vast majority of his minutes as a small forward, it's really impressive. He had 2 or 3 blocks in, I think, both those games last week, which, were big for us.
What makes him so good?
Well, he's long, but really though his arm span is about normal. I mean, it's about 6'8", 6'8.5". But he's just a quick jumper. I mean, the thing is, he's split 2/3 high. Most of us aren't split with our waist up to here, and I mean, his legs are unbelievably long, and so he's got that quick bounce.
Is it hard for him to get in the stance then? Because
It doesn't look, it is harder because you got to go so much further to bend your knees when you're that long and you're all legs. I mean, he's like Gumby. For those of you old enough to remember Gumby.
any other questions?
Thanks.